Township Board of Education is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Daily Record and/or the Star Ledger of Morris County, has been delivered to the Township Clerk, and has been posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education office and at each of the school buildings in the district. Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Here.
Mrs. Aidelis,
Here.
Dr. Aruna Jatasan,
Here.
Mr. Cass,
Here.
Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Capello,
Here.
Mr. Kim.
Here. Okay, there was no need for an executive session. We will be doing the Pledge of Allegiance, but immediately after the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll hold a moment of silence for the 1-year anniversary of the attacks in the Middle East. So please rise. Okay, thank you. So today there are no special presentations. However, we will be having 2 presentations next week during the next board meeting of October 28th. The school audit presentation by our accountants and the October 28th Dr. Cullis NJSLA test results presentation. Moving on with the agenda, superintendent comments. Dr. Forte.
Just a CUSAC update. Again, we have on the next agenda on the October 28th board meeting, we have the, sorry about that. We have the DPR approval and our site visit. We just received word again. There's a reminder that it will be on January 15, 2025. And we have our district-wide professional development day on Monday, the 14th. And a little athletics update. We have all the seasons are moving along. County tournaments are coming soon, believe it or not. Next home meets, if you're interested, meets or games. We have cross country on October 11th, boys soccer on October 8th and 10th, and girls soccer on October 11th.
All right, we'll move on with the agenda. Dr. Cullis, the assistant superintendent comments, please.
Yes, our 6th graders have now completed 10 of the 14-day study skills program, and Mr. Corman will be sending home a summary of the first 2 weeks of lessons to all the 6th grade families via messenger. So you should be getting that in the next day or so. NJSLA student reports are available under Genesis. So if you have not downloaded them yet, you would go on under documents and take a look at your child's individual student report. Our kindergarten parents should have received via messenger a SIGS, which is the survey for identifying gifted students, and it's the home report, so please complete those and return to your child's teacher. NAEP, National Assessment for Educational Progress, is taking place for Denville on October 16th. 50 students were selected that are 13 years old, and those parents have been notified, but that will be taking place very shortly. This month, we have a lot of celebrations between September and October. Our buildings have been celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, Indigenous Peoples Day and Month, Italian American Heritage Month, and Polish American Heritage Month. So a lot of short videos, books, informational sessions have been provided under these particular categories. So commemoration of these important months. Thank you. This concludes the Assistant Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. Dr. Forte, did we want to come back and revisit anything else that you might want to share?
No, that was all I had. It got lucky the call came in. I was dealing with something right before this meeting with a student, so I was trying to take care of it real quick. That's why I had to take it. Sorry about that.
Oh, no need to apologize. And moving on, business administrator comments. Ms. Gorowski, any comments?
Our 23-24 school audit is completed. The auditors are working with the report. They will be here next board meeting to present to the board. Prior to that, we will be presenting highlights and summary to the Finance Committee. And we are up to now Division of Pension Audits. So we were selected to be audited this year. So we are gathering information to reply with that.
That sounded like it was a privilege. Uh, Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Kurowski. At this time, we'll go ahead and open it up to the public for any questions or comments regarding the agenda. Seeing no one in the chambers and no one online, we'll go ahead and close public comments at 7:36 p.m. Old business, no action to be taken. Ms. Adelis, could you walk us through that, please?
Sure. Okay. The next meeting, myself or someone else will move through the following resolutions. A, resolve the board approve the following reports for September of 2024, treasurer of school monies and board secretary reports, education reports for September, enrollment, health office reports, the district performance review, and approve some HIB minutes for the September 9th and September 23rd meetings.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I had the privilege of sitting in on 2 CUSAC meetings up to this point, and always amazed at how organized and how efficient everybody is. Everyone seems to know what they're doing. The communication is awesome. So thank you, Dr. Forte, and thank you for the rest of the staff who are part of that team. The next section, new business action to be taken. Dr. Runajitasan, can you take us through personnel, please?
Absolutely. If there is no objection, I'd like to move the following items. Item number 1 regards new hires, resignations, retirements, leaves, extra pay salary adjustments. There are items A, B, C in the main one, and then D in the addendum. And then the second one is the addendum to for the superintendent employment contract for Dr. Steve Forte. And that amendment, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions here, that goes from July 2024 until now, June 30th, 2028. And then the third item is approve the following hire, just one item, a teacher, Jacqueline Obey.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Addendum?
You mentioned the addendum already, right, Dr.? Yes. Thank you. I just need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Mr. Kim, can I make a quick comment? So with regard to item number 2, which is Dr. Forte's addendum to his contract, I just wanted to make a quick comment that I think Dr. Forte has done a phenomenal job, hence the renewal of his contract year or time after time since I've been on the board. Due to being involved in the previous negotiations, I will be abstaining from that vote. I just wanted to kind of make a public comment that it's not related to any performance. It's just related to previous involvement in the negotiation.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Kim, if I could make sense. Yeah, I feel like Mr. Anderson does. I was also involved intimately in those negotiations for the last contract. So for that reason, also I maybe feel slightly differently. We negotiated that contract a year ago. I'm not sure there have been really significant changes that would necessarily warrant a change to the contract terms. So I agree with Mr. Anderson, and I think with everybody on the board. Dr. Forte has been doing a tremendous job. We've renewed his contract year after year, but because of my involvement with those negotiations, I'm going to be voting no.
Understood. Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Adelis?
Yes.
Dr. Arunajatasan?
Yes.
Mr. Cass?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes on items 1 and 2, abstain on item number 2.
Mr. Capello,
Yes on items 1 and 3, no on number 2.
Mr. Kim.
Yes.
Mrs. Growski, I apologize. I think I misspoke. A yes on items 1 and 3, abstain on 2.
Got it.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll move on with the agenda. Instruction and program, Dr. Moore, if you can, please.
Sure. I'd like to move the following under resolutions under instruction and program. Under number 1, workshops and expenses. We have a TESOL Trainers English Learners Institute 2. Under item number 2 is the attached list of field trips. And item number 3 is to approve Mad Science of Northeast New Jersey to provide instructional programming for the Rockaway Borough ELL program.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Just note that both 1A and 3 are because we are the host of the Title III ELL Consortium. So you will see these coming through. That money is allocated to those other districts. However, we are the hosts. So all the money will be circulating through our district.
Thank you for that clarification. Seeing no questions or comments, roll call, please.
Sorry. Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Adelis,
Yes.
Dr. Aruna Jatasan,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. Okay, C Finance. Mr. Anderson, it looks like there's something on the addendum. If you can walk us through that, please.
That's correct. I'd like to move under C Finance. Item number 1 is that the board approve the donation of $10,000 from the Denville Township Social Services to help defray the cost of providing free lunch to students in need for the 2024-2025 school year.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I think the obvious comment is a huge thank you to the township. I think they continue to support the students that are in need in our district. I think Dr. Forte and the team have done a phenomenal job ensuring that there's not a financial burden for students as best as humanly possible. And the township has just been a phenomenal partner in that with their social services. So tremendous thank you to the social services for that donation.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that too. Ms. Gorowski, thank you and your team for implementing this new program, especially in Lakeview. And thank you for anyone from Lakeview who's been supporting you. So seems like it has been a smooth transition or a launch, I guess.
So far, it's working really well. Rebecca here has been an instrumental part to making sure that the program is running smoothly and in compliance with the statute. Next week, one of the representatives from the National School Lunch Program will be coming in to observe the lunches and also to verify that we have all the requirements, documents in place.
Awesome. Yeah, please keep us posted on that.
Just a quick question, Mr. Kim, if you don't mind. Mrs. Gorowski, the donation will be used for Riverview and Valley View schools this year, right? Because the lunches at Lakeview with the federal lunch program are subsidized from the federal department. Is that correct?
The Lakeview lunches should be able to subsidize all the expenses for that specific school. And these donations will be to will be going towards the Valley View and the Riverview lunches, free lunches.
So then theoretically, if we decide to expand the program or if there's a need to expand the program, then it would also reduce the need for donations like this from the township social services. Would that be a correct statement?
As long as
Theoretically?
they want to reduce the donation, of course, yes, but it will be, yes, if we extend the program to all the schools, we should be able to at least break even, not make a profit, but at least break even. Yes.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks, Mike, for pointing that out. So appreciate that. Okay, roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Adelis,
Yes.
Dr. Aruna Jatasan,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. Mr. Cass, could you walk us through operations?
Be glad to. I'm asking the board to approve the following field trips request from Little Learner Academy at the rate of $70 per hour. On 10/23/24, Morristown Little Learner Academy to Whiteman's Farms, and the Denville Little Learner Academy 10/22/24 to Whiteman's Farms.
Second?
Thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Agelis,
Yes.
Dr. Aruna Detasan,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. All right, the next part of the agenda is new business, no action to be taken. Dr. Aruna Detasan, can you take us through personnel, please?
Absolutely. In the next session, either myself or one of my colleagues here will move for the following items. Again, new hires, assignations, retirements, and then item number 2, Family Leave Acts and Family Medical Leave Acts, and item number 3, any new hires, substitutes.
I'll second.
Oh, no second needed there. All right, questions or comments? Dr. Moore, instruction and program, please.
Yes, under instruction and program, either myself or someone else will move for approval the following resolutions under instruction and program. Under item number 1, there are workshops A through D. And in item number 2 will be to approve Dr. Howard Bowbrow, orthodontist in Denville, to provide information about orthodontic health for students in Riverview and Lakeview for the National Orthodontic Health Month.
Questions or comments? All right, policy revisions. Mr. Capello, can you walk us through policy, please?
I would be happy to. Under policy revisions, we have for first reading, policy 1240, evaluation of superintendent, policy 1245.06, unsafe school choice, policy 2610, educational program evaluation, policy 8506, school lunch program biosecurity plan, which is new. Policy 9713, recruitment by special interest groups, also new. Policy 5305, health services personnel. Policy 0164, conduct of a board meeting. Policy 155, board committees. And finally, policy 0151, organization meeting.
Questions or comments?
I had a question about the board committee policy. It looks like we are striking the technology committee completely. Is that, yeah.
It just a name, but all the duties are what's the word? I'm just giving them to different
Like
committees.
reallocated, like
Yeah,
basically-
reallocated. So anything in the operations realm for technology goes under operations. Anything in the curricular realm goes under curriculum.
So I mean, basically what we've been doing, basically that's been the practice.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Kim asked me to make the we had a long talk in the governance committee. He asked if we could put together a policy that more accurately represents what we actually are doing right now.
Great, thanks. I'm all for that, of course.
Thank you, Dr. Forte. Yeah, thank you for the question. The technology committee, the security was often discussed in operations, and any software for students was often discussed in IMP. So we figured we'd just reorganize some of the duties on the policy itself. I wanted to also call the board's attention to the organization meeting. That one is simply rewording what there was a little confusion about. Originally was worded during the first week. The reorg meeting had to be held during the first week of January, and there was some confusion. To me, the first week was whether it started on Sunday or whether it started on a Friday. We had to squeeze that meeting in during that first week. So there was new language in current statute that says January 1st to January 7th inclusive. So it got rid of the first week wording, and it actually explicitly says January 1st to January 7th. And then finally, the agenda itself, which was conduct of the board? No. Oh, yes, conduct of the board. Currently, the committees are finance and operations. However, in the policy, it had a committee, like a separate section in the agenda for operations, a separate section for transportation, a separate section for buildings and grounds when we do it all under operations in the agenda. So we were just updating that as well. The final thing on that is the governance. I wanted to change in the agenda anything that had related to do with policy. I wanted to change that section as governance, and a subheading 1 as policy revisions. The importance of that is that if there's anything else under governance that we as a board wanted to discuss and have on the agenda, we can include that under there without having to try to look for a place. So broaden that section in the agenda and put policy revisions as a subsection under governance. So. Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on to finance. Mr. Anderson, if you walk us through that.
Sure, myself or somebody else at the next meeting will put up for a vote under finance. Number 1 would be our enclosed checklist, which will be filled out prior to the next meeting. And then item number 2 will be the board to approve the 2023-2024 annual comprehensive financial report, accepting the audit report, which had no recommendations, and auditor management report on administrative findings for the year ending June 30th, 2024.
Questions, comments? Okay, operations, Mr. Cass, please.
Can I just chime in for a second?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Just because this is an odd month where our board meeting was so early, we hadn't had a chance to go over this in executive committee, in committees, Mr. Cass. So this is just us renewing the green sustainability, new sustainable Jersey thing that we have to do it every few years. So that's what that long wording is. I just wanted to kind of explain it to you.
I always been told I'm a man of few words, so I'm going to edit it a little bit. At the next meeting, under Buildings and Grounds, I'm going to ask the board to approve the following resolution for participation in the Sustainable Jersey for Schools certification program. So I will read the first paragraph. I'm asking the board to participate in Sustainable Jersey for Schools to focus attention and efforts on matters of sustainability and pursue initiatives that will lead to Sustainable Jersey for Schools certification. So some of the highlights when I looked this over is one of my favorite groups in the district is the Green Team. They do a great job, and I always tell people about the presentation they did and the great job they're doing with the kids and keeping the environment clean and working on sustainability. So that's item number 6. And also on the next page, you'll find out Dr. Forte is the liaison on this initiative. So it's great to see us moving this forward again.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so let's move.
Oh, sorry, I've
Oh,
got
sure.
one. Steve, any particular reason you're the liaison?
That was the way they had it last time. It's I think it's the superintendent, but I have people that do it for us underneath. I think when it comes to actually working with the group, like legally, it goes through me, but then it typically goes through the rest.
Okay.
I didn't want to change the wording because they want this specific thing sent to them. But typically there's always or designee.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't remember this from before. I thought like when we had Lydia Stiles, I thought she was the coordinator for it, but you've always been kind of the coordinator on paper.
Yeah, on paper I have. Like all the grants and things come through me.
Okay.
And a good thing is we're very close to 1,000 pounds of plastic being recycled. I drove it down to Stop and Shop with a few of the people. We took my truck filled and 2 other cars filled with stuff. And you can imagine how much 1,000 pounds of plastic bags is. It's a lot of plastic bags. So I like the fact that we're doing this and getting, doing a small part, right? It's taking 1,000 pounds of garbage out of the landfills and hopefully being used to make a Trex bench.
All right. Let's move on to good of the cause, committee reports, correspondence, discussion items, and other germane to the district.
I will make a comment. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge and thank James for having the moment of silence before we started the meeting. And I'm a product of post-World War II life. My father-in-law, mother-in-law, my uncles, and my father all served in World War II, and some of them fought in World War II. And one of them was in the infantry with the Lightning Division, and if I recall the stories that had filtered through the family, he liberated one of the concentration camps. So this was an unprovoked attack a year ago from today on the country of Israel by a terrorist organization. And if you watch news every now and then, you'll see the FBI director, Ray, talk about never before has he seen so many threats against our country. So I know we've done to do a lot to beef up the security of our schools. So I just want to highlight that we live in different times now regarding security for all of us.
Mr. Kim, thank you, Mr. Cass. One additional quick comment. I've been taking a look over the demographic data we have, as I'm sure all of us are. One of the things I thought may help us, because we've done kind of, addendums to Dr. Grip's study, where we've had him add on, we have new developments that maybe are approved through the planning board or whatnot, or zoning board, I should say. So one of the things that I think may be helpful to us is we clearly know that his projections are extremely accurate at this point within a couple of students. We don't know is one of those projections within that sub-studied differently? In other words, are we dropping off in existing housing and the new developments are really high, or where exactly that differential is, number one. Number two would be interesting. So I guess basically how accurate are we with the new developments is really my question, right? Because I think that would answer that question. The other thing I think I found a little bit difficult, even being on the board and sitting through all these presentations, is they're in different formats every time I find them. So if we did like an annual update and it was the same format every year, it may be really helpful for me and the public to be able to go back and say, hey, here was the 2023 update. Here was the 2024 update. It's probably going to cost us a little bit of money. I acknowledge that, right? Because we're going to be asking for kind of annual updates. But I think it's so important to the board right now as we are seeing these development changes and the potential for students coming out of them to really kind of make sure we're understanding everything that's happening with them. I think the last time we had him just add on 2 developments. So it was just like an addendum that said the 2 developments, but it didn't go into the same format and there was no presentation to go along with it. So once again, I know it would cost money, just a suggestion that maybe we put it through committee to have a discussion on if we did kind of the same month every year, like it was an update in January or something like that. That way we've got all the new data from the current school year where we update it and we have Dr. Grip present. Whether we need a presentation or not, we can talk about that, but at least the same format so we can look at here's a 2023 update, here's a 2024, the 2025, and so on. It just may help, at least my mind, serially look at them in that order instead of kind of trying to find, here's the addendum, let me paste that together with the current study and things like that. So just a suggestion that we may want to think about looking at.
Just to clarify, Mike, are you saying that you would like another Dr. Grip update on the study and that it's presented or delivered in the same format?
Yeah, like I would take his current study and just update it, right? Like each year, hopefully it's a lot less than doing the whole study over again because he's just doing an update and saying, hey, this is what I had as the projection for the 2024 beginning of the school year, here's where we actually are. And this is what I project for the next year, right? Because every year we get another year. We normally don't do it for probably 3 to 5 years is typically when we update, but I'm almost saying, do we need to do it on an annual basis and update? I have to certainly understand the cost behind it, because that may be a kind of a long pole in the tent as far as being able to do it. But I would like to see us potentially look at something like that.
You're bringing it up, and I think what we did was we got a price from him, but we didn't do it. Like the stuff that we did ourselves, using kind of extrapolating his theory, his methodology, and applying it. If you want, though, if you feel like it's important, I mean, it can't hurt just to email him and ask him how much to update this with the new developments, stuff like that. Especially now that pretty much all of them are going to happen. Like the only one I haven't heard anything about is the one by Zeke Field. Everything else is going to happen. Even the engineer on the one by the Denville train station, not the other train station, the Denville train station, has reached out to us. So they're pretty much all going to happen.
Wait, Steve, didn't we have him do an update with the 2 more developments that came by? Because those numbers were from Dr. Grip, the 2 additional developments.
Yeah, we did, but that was really just very specific for those 2. It was almost like an add-on to the 2 developments. When Mike was telling me about this, to my mind, it was like what we do with the budget. It's kind of a mark to market. Basically like, okay, this is the budget. This is where we actually are. And I think Mike's point is really good, and I'm not totally sure it came out totally clearly, is that there may be different things masking, right? So that the new developments may be higher than what he projected, but there may be a loss of students due to the existing people moving out of town. Like, we don't know that until we look at it. So I think it would be really good. It would be helpful to kind of get that analysis, to understand what the actual numbers are doing. Mike doesn't propose to spend money easily. So, I think he thinks it's important, and I kind of agree, because I think that we need to be more granular than maybe 3 to 5 years. I think an annual review, or maybe a biannual review, if it's expensive, be something we should consider.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we did just ask him, like I said to him, can you just give us the information on these 2? I think that was about it, and he didn't charge us for it.
And I'll take full responsibility. I think I was the one who said, hey, can we avoid not doing a full one over again? But I think now we're at a point where we really should be, that may be our way to keep a really close eye on this. We could ask Dr. Grip all sorts of questions when he presents, right? We asked a lot of really good questions. So this may allow us to kind of peel back that onion. He was, I can't speak highly enough of his presentation a few years ago. I think it really opened my eyes and helped me understand some of the data we felt like we knew. Either we confirmed it or we were like eye-opening to certain pieces of it. So it just may be really helpful for us to do on an annual basis. Because when I tried to go through the website and be like, hey, let me see where we were, it's like I was trying to piece together this pie, and I was like, I think I told Dr. Forte not to spend the extra money on it. But I think it's just easier to look at it if it's an annual update. So just an idea to look at, and certainly, maybe put it through committee to kind of get an idea if it's something we want to do. And obviously we would need to get a quote to understand what kind of costs we'd be talking about. But we've got to keep a really close eye on this to make sure, we know how long it takes, or we think we know how long it takes to potentially put an addition on a building or build a new building. That takes so long that we have to have that first indicator. And I do want to say, I really want, the other piece of this is I would like to send back through IMP our capacity, classroom capacity policy, to make sure that that's what we all feel comfortable with. Because I will tell you, when I went back and looked at it in the last couple of weeks, I was reminded of the fact that our policy allows for 29 students in the middle school, which I'm not sure if we're comfortable with. And we had some really good feedback from the community at our last strategic planning meeting that we want to really take into consideration. So I think we need to kind of open that up. And Mr. Kim, you did a phenomenal job when you presented the Space Consideration Committee report, talking about the fact that that was that piece of data you looked at, right? So if that changes, that may change what our needs are or what we want to do as a board.
Sure. Yeah. No, everything I've heard so far definitely makes sense. Any other questions or comments that board members want to add on to Mike's comments? Steve, remind me again, when Dr. Grip did that study, it was a 5-year study, right? And are we into our third year of that study, or are we into our fourth year now?
So I was just thinking about that. The report was delivered in January 2022. So it's going to be, it's already 3 years old, but it was based on data from fall 2021. So it's already 3 years old. And in the town of Denville, in that 3 years, a lot of things happened. At the time, those were just thoughts, or like they weren't really solid. So he didn't do a lot because there wasn't a lot of information from the town. Now he could probably do a lot more with those, with the new developments. And then I guess there's another set of new developments coming eventually too, right?
So we're almost at the time where we need to start looking at a new demographic study anyway. So, I mean, because technically third year, I think would be into our fourth year, because by the time we get a quote and everything else, 4 years might have been passed. So, and Dr. Cullis, in terms of our student enrollments, I know that October is our sort of official month. How do the class sizes look, elementary school and middle school?
Well, the only larger classes in the middle school are those that are advanced programming, where we only run one section of like a geometry or an algebra or Spanish 2, something like that. Those are our larger sizes, the advanced classes. Our core classes are all between 16 and 18. Some are smaller. Elementary school, we can be around 22 to 23 in the 3 to 5s. All of our kindergarten and below the largest is 21, and most of them are 18 to 20.
Excellent, thank you. And Dr. Forte, the second floor at Riverview Annex, I know that was a topic of discussion during the presentation, or the ad hoc presentation. So are we still looking at the architecture and studies? Did we get a quote for building that out?
So it's really not a thing where we need an architect for. It's mostly sprucing up. There's not major work that needs to be done up there. Flooring, even the flooring is okay. Painting, some maybe a little bit of electrical work, but not too much to do up there. But believe it or not, it'll still cost $50,000 to $100,000. But it's not like major construction where we're gonna have to put it out to bid and have an architect and all that. We'll hire, some of the stuff will be done inside. And as of right, so really, this is a little premature. On the 15th of October, that's when we do our October 15th count. That's what matters for everything. At the next Board of Education meeting, you'll be approving the typical student report that you do every year, the school report. From that information, we can look at the class sizes and have a better idea. If you're really forcing me for an answer right now, I would say we don't really have a need for that second floor, even for next year at this point. With the information I have now, I'd say no.
Got it. Thank you. And Ms. Gorowski, can you actually put in the agenda old business education reports number 2? Could you actually write out or type out, include the student count in there as well? Great. Yeah, I think that Steve, your points are definitely heard, and from the presentation, we have all these sort of steps and things. Hopefully, we'll hear the warning signs way before. And I think one of the ways is to have a new demographic study, and let's have that sort of tell us a story once we get that new study out. So, any other questions or comments? I did want to add a few things. Just as a reminder, tomorrow will be the debate for the new board members. Also, in the New Jersey school boards, I'm drawing a blank. Why am I drawing a blank? That October meeting, annual convention, our very own unsung hero, Nicole Kellum, will be awarded and honored. So I wanted to, publicize that here. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. Something had come up, so I had to cancel my reservation for that. So I'm really proud of her. And Finally, I just wanted to bring attention the governance calendar that we also discussed that during our committee. I also heard that there was interest of pizza, so definitely wanted to maybe have two meetings, board meetings, that would have a sponsored meal as well. So pizza could definitely be, we could have a taste testing then possibly for the board members. So. Any other good of the cause comments?
Just one quick thing. I know it came up in the governance committee meeting that the board would like more information about what's going on in the schools, dates, calendars. Cindy's looking into it. It looks like an easy way was we could share the district calendar with your Gmail account, correct? And then you would have that in the district calendar. Anything on the district calendar would push to your Gmail account. Does that sound like something you want to do? I think she already did it with Mike, right? As a test. Did you do it with Mike? Oh, so Cindy and her team is going to get back to me within the next couple of weeks, and I'll shoot an email to you guys on the plan. It might be something simple, just like sharing a calendar, and you guys can have those in there.
So that would show up on our Gmail or Google Calendar then.
Yeah, like on your Denville Gmail calendar. I have it like where you could select the boxes of which one you want to see.
Thank you. Okay, we'll open it up for public comments at 8:11. If anything that the public would like to share with the board. Okay, seeing no one in the chambers and no one online, I will close public comments at 8:12. And is there a need for an executive session?
I'm sorry, Mr. Kim, do we have any highlights?
Board highlights?
It's at the donation, right? For sure.
Contract?
Steve, did you have specific highlights that you wanted to share as well?
I have the donation of 10,000. Is anybody else? We'll do the green thing for next time.
And maybe the unsung hero for next time as well, after she's presented it in Atlantic City? Okay, great. So public comments were open and closed, and we'll go into Steve, executive? Yes, okay, so Miss Adelis, can you run us through executive session, please?
Sure. I move to convene to executive session in accordance with Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of this closed session will be to discuss negotiations, legal, security, and personnel issues. Minutes of this session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? We are in executive at 8:13 p.m. For the public, we will not be voting on anything else, so we will be adjourning immediately afterwards. So thank you.